Hello, girls and boys. Welcome to Storytime Fun. I dedicate this next story to my delightful grandchildren, Violet, Denver, Ethan, and Summer. Today's story is out of the Disney's Christmas Storybook, written by Elizabeth Spur. Oliver and Company. Christmas is for friends. A heavy snow fell outside Jenny's Fifth Avenue townhouse, but inside a blazing fire warmed the luxurious living room. "Look, Oliver," sang Jenny, "we're going to have a white Christmas." Oliver looked up sadly from his cushion by the hearth. Jenny sat on the hearth next to him. "What's the matter, kitty? Don't you feel well?" Oliver let Jenny pet him and scratch under his chin, but soon he settled back onto his cushion. "I know what's the matter," said Jenny as she reached for a photograph. "You miss your friends." Although they had promised to visit often, Oliver's friends from the barge, Dodger, Einstein, Tito, and the rest, had not been around in a while. Oliver knew they were probably busy helping Fagin make a living. So Oliver's only animal company came from Jenny's poodle, Georgette, who, although friendly of late, was too snooty to be much fun. "I know what I'll do," thought Jenny. "I'll throw Oliver a Christmas party. That will cheer him up." Her parents were staying with relatives in Europe for the Christmas holiday. With no one around but the servants, Jenny could use some company herself. With the help of Winston, she wrote an invitation to Fagin and the rest of Oliver's friends. Winston printed it with fancy curlicues on a parchment scroll. "To Messrs. and Madam Fagin, Dodger, Rita, Einstein, Francis, and Tito. The pleasure of your company is requested for dinner on Christmas Eve, December 24th at 6 o'clock in the evening. RSVP, black tie, optional." Winston tied the invitation with a gold ribbon and delivered it to the barge. He found no one at home, so he tied it to a doorknob. Fagin was delighted with the invitation and read it to his friends, who leaped and yipped at the news. "I'll bet that'll be some feed," said Fagin. "I think I can scrape up a black tie for each one of us, but I wonder where in town can we find an RSVP?" Jenny, Winston, and the staff set about preparing a magnificent Christmas Eve dinner. Roast beef, roast duckling, roast goose, and lots of puddings and pies. Winston called in the florist, who draped the walls and the staircases with garlands of holly, all ablaze with white twinkling lights. Then they erected an enormous Christmas tree, hung with gold and silver balls and delicious dog bones around the bottom. Jenny went through dozens of department stores shopping for gifts for the Christmas Eve guests. Oliver was delighted to see Jenny returning to the car with her arms overflowing with gifts. The thought of seeing his old friends made Oliver very happy. On Christmas Eve, everything was ready. "I hope they'll come," said Jenny, looking a little worried. "They didn't RSVP." At that moment, 6 o'clock on the dot, the bell rang. Winston opened the door, and there were the 6 friends, each wearing a black tie. Oliver was beside himself with joy. Oliver and the dogs, unable to contain their excitement, chased one another around the room. All the guests enjoyed the elegant dinner. Little was left but a pile of bones, which the cook scraped into one enormous doggy bag. Afterward, Jenny sat everyone around the tree and handed out her gifts. A handsome pocket watch for Fagin, a sausage string for Dodger, and a small wicker basket with a lid for Tito to put his tools in. Francis opened a videotape of Shakespeare's plays, and Einstein received a comfy pillow for his bed. Rita and Georgette opened their packages and were overjoyed to receive beautiful handmade sweaters. Oliver received a tiny diamond-studded bell, which jingled when Jenny hung it on his collar. "That way I'll always know where you are," she said. Georgette, in her new Angora sweater, looked slightly miffed, but said nothing. "And now, Jenny," said Fagin, "it's our turn." He laid out 6 crumpled packages tied with butcher string. "I'm sorry we couldn't find an RSVP," he said. "We looked everywhere." Jenny tried not to giggle. Then she opened the first package. "How nice!" she exclaimed. Her friends had gone to a lot of trouble to give her a cuckoo clock with an exquisite bird, but no chime. A beautiful book of fairy tales with a taped cover, a picture frame with no glass, a one-armed doll who had beautiful eyes, a string of beads with no clasp, and a satin purse with a hole in it. "How lovely," she said, and she meant it. "'Twasn't much." Fagin looked down at his scuffed shoes. "We found them all in a dumpster. I didn't figure you'd spend so much on all of us." "Christmas isn't a spending contest," laughed Jenny. "I love all my gifts. They're all so unique. And I do love—" She got no further because, psst, 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 with a crackling blue flash, every light in the house went out. "Speaking of surprises," said Fagin, "all these Christmas lights blowing a fuse." "I'll try to find a flashlight," said Jenny. As she groped her way across the marble floors, thump! She bumped into a table that held one of her mother's prized vases. "Whoa!" she said as she fell to the floor. "Are you hurt?" called Fagin through the darkness. I don't think so," she said. "Don't move, Jenny," said Winston. "There may be broken shards around you." While Fagin and Winston tried to find Jenny, Tito, the electrical wizard, sniffed out the faulty fuse, and within minutes the room was once again aglow. "I'm all right," said Jenny, "and thank goodness, so is my mother's vase." "I'm glad about the vase," said Fagin. "Nice catch, but I'm even more glad that you're in one piece." "Thank goodness you all were here," said Winston. "We might have spent our whole Christmas in the dark." "Thank goodness you all were here," Jenny repeated. "I can't imagine Christmas without you." With Georgette in her lap and Oliver purring on top of the piano beside her, Jenny led Fagin in Christmas carols. He sang, "Wreck the halls with dogs of folly," while the dogs howled and Oliver meowed along. Well, that's it for today. See you next time.